says you're live. I'm not showing us yet.
Of course we're live. What is she talking about? Oh, if I was going to use her phone, I would play my music at this point. But
Oh, you didn't properly prepare
no,
though.
I didn't properly prepare. So it's us
Hey, Blue Shoe.
in the middle of the night. Hey, Blue Shoe, how you doing? So I didn't play my music. It's all right. This is 20
Hi,
seconds
Rudy.
of waste time. Hey, Rudy, how are you doing? Hey, let's put the glasses on so I can see who is here. Three. We got Mowgli. Hey, Mowgli, how you doing, buddy? All right, guys. Look, Hey, Janelle, how are you doing? I was just over at the coach's live feed a little bit, and I was listening to everybody talk, and so I wanted to
And
talk to
talking.
you guys. Yes, I was talking to those people in that live feed.
Rick.
Yes, what's crapping? I feel you. All right, look, guys. Recession is real. Recession is coming. It's not the end of the world. I've been through it at least 3 times. You can make money off of recession in this industry. You have to know a few things. So I'm going to give you a little history of how I handled these recessions.
Now hold on a minute.
Okay.
We're gonna ignore comments for a while, not because we don't like talking, but he's gonna get out his spiel of things. Otherwise, you know how I get distracted, and then I take him off into left field with me. So it's nothing, Once we're done with his little talking that he's got wrote down, then we'll be back.
Okay. You heard the girl. We're going to jumping off here, okay? We're still here, but we're jumping off. Okay. When I got out of the military in the early 90s, I came out of the military into a recession. I didn't know any better. Trucking at that point in time, in that venue, in a recession, was normal for me. I thought it was normal. I didn't have any mentor or anyone to talk to.
So you started in a bad time.
I started in a bad time.
But for you, you just thought that's a normal time. This is what trucking is.
This is trucking.
This is trucking.
Correct. So I came out and I bought trucks right off the bat, right? I was like, hey, why are you selling your truck for? Freight's so good. I'm doing great. I'm having a good time, right? And I was making money hands over fist, right? I'm buying swimming pools and new houses and everything else. Because when you're coming out of the military and all of a sudden you are running freight, coming from military pay to anything else in the world, you are like king of the world, right? It's just that simple. So I stepped out and I bought trucks and I put drivers in them. I didn't inherit nothing from daddy or from no one else. It was just me. And I did great. Now, I did realize pretty damn quickly that there was a recession going on and that maybe this was not normal. But I still ran my business and I ran my life for the next 20 odd years like it was a recession. I still don't have swimming. Well, okay, I above ground swimming pools. I ain't complaining, right?
A cheap one.
I try to do the cheap stuff. I'm a cheap bastard.
It's thrifty.
Thrifty. Thank you.
Thrifty.
All right. But there is a recession coming. And I was just talking to the coach about that, how unfortunately, and I hate to say this because I don't want to make anyone mad or upset, but it's true. It's just like in the Bible, right? You have to winnow away the chaff, right? If you have grain, you must shake it in the wind. The wind is a depression, all right? What is left over is the product you can operate with. It's the grain, right? You're the grain. Now, when I was talking in the coach's live feed, over the last 14 years, there's many different ways you can know what's going on, right? Here's 13 years, okay? Can you see that? If not, this is 13 years from 1937. If you look at
13 different years, not consecutive years.
Not consecutive years, correct. If you look at the ebb and flow of what was that thing you was looking at? She has a word for me.
It's an inverted.
Inverted. It's production of the United States economy. which is, everyone's got a different thing to call it to get their
It's
website
currently
out there.
inverted, which means for the past 14 times it's been inverted. It's a precursor to a recession.
But all you have to do is look at this is how I do it, okay? What she's saying is 100% correct. But now from another perspective, if you look at truck sales and car sales, it tells you what's happening. If cars are not selling, if car companies are laying off,
GM is shutting down plants.
50,000 jobs at GM. Good, right? They're winnowing away the chaff. It's just life. It happens always. You can turn these things into a positive, though, right? If you have to run your truck at $1.80 a mile, if last year you had to run your truck at $1.80 a mile, now look, guys, we do $2.65 minimum, okay? But this is different, right? The way I do business and the way somebody that has 4 years of trucking does business, or someone with a bad record does business, is totally different. So I'm fine. We have a new truck. We put the money out. We are 100% safe. Don't worry about us.
Actually, I called and talked to one of the owners of the company before we bought the truck.
We did.
About the forthcoming recession.
Because we knew it was coming.
And should I buy a truck? Should I fix this truck? And, we had a discussion about our specific industry because it doesn't go with
this
the
is
spot market or general freight.
For us, okay?
Right.
And they was like, oh no, our contracts are secure for 3 years, right? Now, I don't want to get you caught up into our contracts because it's a totally different thing. It's like government contracts are a safe bet. Even the coach agreed with me on that. They're safe. If you have that kind, you're making fun of faces. What are you saying?
Right. But you're kind of getting into specialized freight.
It's specialized.
But not all specialized freight is safe. Like boats, we had...
Oh, yeah, that's very good, baby. Okay, in 2007, I had 3 trucks on with a company that hauled boats. That's all. That's all we hauled there, and my trucks made great money, right? Mm-hmm. In November of 2008,
prior to the recession,
right, the boat market tanked, right? Mm-hmm. I kept those 3 trucks at that company for a year, and I ate. I still paid my guys, right, because they had to eat, and I was hoping that things would pick up, right? They never picked up for a year. I mean, it was just that terrible. It lasted. As far as I know, 2 years after the recession, they did not ever pick up. I still had trucks there. They never picked back up in the luxury market. That's a very, very good point that the girl makes there.
The little Viking coach has construction layoffs. They're not building new houses either.
See, that's another precursor that you look at. If you're into flatbeds, then you should look at what's going on in the flatbed market, because if they're not building, you're not hauling.
Well,
it's just
car
that simple.
haulers, GM's laying off. What are car haulers doing?
But it's not all shit. It's not all hell, right? You don't think that you have to go to hell, more or less.
You don't have to give up your truck. You don't have to.
Don't. You may have to.
It's not the end of the world.
And if you don't plan specifically for this, okay, I would never tell anyone to drive a Prime, right? I mean, you know how I feel about Prime. But when these things happen, if you are an owner-operator or if you're a lease operator, and there's a huge difference there, I hate to say that, but there is, okay? You have to run to the mega carriers. If you run to a company like Crete, okay? Crete was great to us. And those kind of companies, they don't respect a lot of things when you've been through it, Well, they don't know, right? But the people that run that company, they know what's getting ready to happen. So they're ready for it. So you can run there and you can make $1.48, $1.50 a mile. And if you can't survive on $1.50 a mile, I don't know if you should.
Then you're probably not going to make it.
All right.
Right.
See how straight she is? Maybe you should not be in the industry if you cannot survive for $1.50 a mile. Now, a lot of people have messaged me about this and that, right? And I always
So what
tell them
what
that.
he's saying and what he said in the live feed earlier is like if you're that guy hauling boats or you're on the spot market, depending on what you're hauling and what you're getting paid, the way that you stay afloat is you don't run your own authority. You don't pay all your elevated insurance and everything else yourself. You go to a mega carrier because they get all that stuff cheaper and they still get better rates and more freight because they have the trucks, the trailers, and the capacity to run it.
You can save with your insurance and you can save with your fuel. So that is
So
plus.
if you're running your own truck right now, like you said, we worked at Henderson when they sold out to Prime. We didn't want to work for Prime, so we left. If you want to work for Prime, do your research. You can go work for Prime if that works for you. You can go work for Crete. But a mega carrier in a recession is the place that's going to keep you afloat, period. Because they have the business at the end of the day.
Now, like I said,
right?
I drove into this industry in a recession back in the day, right? I've survived
100 years ago.
That's right. And I've survived 3 recessions. But that's how I survived them, right? I took my trucks because a lot of people have been like, why was you leased to this carrier? Or why was you leased to that carrier? Why would anybody be leased to these carriers? Bluish you. Why do you keep repeating yourself? Okay? But anyway, those are the reasons I was leased to those carriers. Because as an experienced person, sometimes you have to make business decisions.
It's not about pride and saying I'm running my own authority or I'm doing this.
Right.
It's about doing what's best.
Sometimes you got to go where you have to go, especially if you want to feed your kids. So you got to go where you feed your kids. If you have drivers, your responsibility is much more than your children.
Snorlord said he averaged $1.40 a mile at Schneider. He did okay. He still remembers the rate crashes when he was at Landstar, and he remembers those lessons.
Right. For some reason, my look, I'm still stuck on Bluish Hue in the same comment. That's funny.
That's okay.
Okay, Bluish Hue, I understand now. It's my phone. It ain't operating. But Snorlord, see, he remembers. Unfortunately, a lot of guys that do YouTube, they talk what they know. And they should. That you should always talk what you know.
Your experience is what you know. But
Yes.
if you ain't been driving
but
for
if you
10
haven't
or 15
been
or
through
25
this,
years.
If you haven't never been through this, this is going to be sad. I'm not going to tell you that the recession is going to happen, but it probably will, right? All right, that's just a fact. If you watch the numbers.
It is happening. It's going to happen.
All right, she said it. All right.
The recession's going to happen.
You're going to see
prepared for
our friends on YouTube, our friends in the world, are going to drop by the waysides like flies. But it's a good thing because everyone should not be running a truck. I mean, leasing is so available to people who don't know business, right? You don't have to know business, but if you're going to lease a truck, you need to learn business really fast. It's important. You got to know what to take advantage of, and so you can do what you got to do. Hang on while I touch this thing. Oh, looky there. There are all kinds of comments.
See, you just kept reading Bluish Hue saying over and over again like he's the only one here.
Like, Bluish Hue, what's going on?
Oh, you're ignoring the comments for the moment.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, something that he has left out is some people pick on the fleet within a fleet.
Yes.
He had a fleet within a fleet.
Always. I've always kept a fleet within a fleet.
But not as lease trucks, as trucks you owned.
I will give you a little tidbit here, okay? If you want to own your truck, get a truck. Get a damn truck. Make money, right? And if you're leasing it, that's fine. But as soon as you can buy a truck, buy a truck. They offset.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with leasing.
No, nothing wrong with it.
Also,
but they offset each other. And if you end up over here on this hand leasing 3 or 4 or 5 trucks or whatever, right? On this hand, buy as many trucks. It just works out wonderful for taxes, right? I mean, just think about that. These over here are a 100% write-off. These over here are a 5-year write-off. But it works out good for you.
But can also end up being more profit.
It can be a lot more profit if you buy trucks that are in trouble. Okay, look.
I'm taking over the payments of his truck,
Let
right?
me make it quick, okay? I leased a truck over here that was a 2017. I've got to pay for it forever, okay? This guy was in financial difficulty. He had a 2016 truck. I got it for $30,000 because that's what he owed on it. So I bought it. Now, I can write it off over 5 years, and you can still put a driver in that truck. You can put it anywhere you want to. And because of the financial burden that is coming during a recession, you can make twice the money off of that truck that you're making off the lease truck. No, you cannot write it off 100%. Hey, Carlos Mancia, how you doing over there?
You write it off 100% if it's a lease. If it's a purchase, you have to depreciate it over 5 years.
Correct. I'm just saying. Bad times are coming. And if they don't come, this is a crappy video. I can delete it. But bad times always come.
If they're not coming in the next couple months, they will be at some point.
Now,
what is she doing?
I don't care.
Okay.
It's Walter. Now people like Loshan or who's Drudge, right?
D-Rod.
Okay, they lease fleets. These are all different business models. Buying a truck and leasing a truck are two different business models, and neither one are wrong. If you buy 5 trucks,
they're different,
and lease 5 trucks or any number therein, you're still right. There is no wrong. The only better is the man that makes more money. The man that keeps more money is the man that knows more and has more authority in what he's doing.
Whoever has the most money in his pocket at the end of the day wins, right?
He wins.
That's the easiest way to say it, right?
Yeah, it's like digging holes, right? You can use a teaspoon or you can use a backhoe.
He uses a backhoe.
I do use a backhoe. I don't screw around with playing with money. I backhoe it. I go in 100% and I make it. Now, they're still right, though. Everyone's right. And we do a lot of fighting on the internet on who's right. Everyone's right. From the company driver all the way up. We're all right. We are all just business models. But it's better. Now, just think about this for a second. If you mix business models, right? Like the leasing model and the owning model, and you put them both together, you come out better. But it's not just my opinion, it's my money, right? That's all it comes down to.
Diversification.
Diversification.
Oh,
Don't
I had
keep
a big
all
word.
your
Did you see that?
big word, girl. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket, in my opinion. But it's not really my opinion. I've been through this many times.
Did you need to read anything else off of your papers there?
Okay, so since 1937, we have been through 13 recessions. Now, those dates are a little flunky, right? But the average recovery date is 18 months per recession. That don't mean, like this last recession lasted 6 years. As far as me and you're concerned, the government can say, oh, we came out of it in 18 months. But if you were like...
John Q. Public didn't.
Right. John Q. Public did not come out of the recession in 18 months. I mean, if I look at the money that I lost in the stock market, and I mean a lot of freaking money, okay? There's no recovery. I mean, as a country, we recovered, but I didn't recover. And I'll do it all again. I don't care. It's just money, right? I'm going to make more. Is that the Tupac? Hey, white Tupac, how are you doing in the room? That is not a racial statement at all.
That's his name.
That's my friend. He's the white Tupac.
Go ahead.
All right. But
you ain't supposed to be reading comments.
I can't help it. They're right there. Maybe she should read comments.
I'm reading them.
All right, Tupac.
I'm trying to let you do your spiel before we go into all the comments.
There is so much, guys. But the coach, I feel like the coach was a little worried over there.
Janelle
coach,
said RN has the best right here. Everyone needs to tighten our belts. And in a way, that's it. You need to be
you
able
are right,
to
Janelle.
not spend the money, keep it, save it, and live on less. And if that's how your business is set up, then that's how you can do it. If your business is set up to, you need a
Hey,
higher
Charles,
rate.
how you doing? The writing on the wall for a recession has been on. You already knew. You know that it happens every 7 years, pretty much, right? So you should have known it. Year 5, I better tighten up. We did. Now it's coming, all right? It may not happen right on schedule, but it's going to happen. It's how you come at. It's not how bad the recession hurts you, because you can go rabbit hunting.
Go through a recession, survive, you'll be a better person.
You will.
And a better business person.
You will. If you didn't know what you was doing when you got into it, if you survive it, and you can survive it, you can come out of it with many different business aspects. I always make money off of a recession. Every time. I will sink my ass in stocks. I will put every dollar I have in specific stocks. I will buy trucks. I will come out of this recession with 3 or 4 extra trucks. I guarantee you. They may not be super sleeper trucks, but they will be trucks worthy of slapping a super sleeper on. And I'll stick a team in those trucks. I may not run them until the recession ends, but in my market, I might. Because I've done it before, and I have a plan. I'll buy her a new pair of shoes. With spikes.
I like boots.
Boots with spikes.
And flip-flops for the summer.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions pertaining to this before I switch back and start saying, hey, everybody, to the beginning?
Okay. Just re-put your question if you did have one, just because there's 20 minutes worth of comments. I ain't gonna be able to go
20 minutes. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've been on like 22 minutes.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to hold y'all up. It's late at night, but
the moral of the story is don't be afraid to go to a mega carrier to survive, right?
Don't be afraid. Correct.
Don't be prideful. Don't act like, oh, I can't do that.
Oh, that's it. Prideful.
Go there.
Don't be prideful.
Go there.
Go to CRST. Go to Prime. Go to anywhere during the crash. It's just about survival. It's not about prospering and eating steak every day. You might have to eat bologna. But it's about living and getting through it in one piece.
Okay. Proof of life for the dog. Well, currently he looks a little... If I bother him, he'll bite me.
You should be bit. Come on now,
Well, they
girl.
said proof of life. Apparently he looks a little dead.
He's alive. He's alive.
If he was going to die, he'd bite me first. So, Buster Tim wants some shoes.
I've had this bottle 3 days, guys. I've been good. All right. But
Pickle wants to drive for us. Pickle, do you have a partner?
No, Pickle. Sorry, Pickle. We're only interested in teams because we want to pay somebody mega money if they're going to drive for us.
Charlie
mega
Brent
money.
says good night.
If someone drives for us, they're going to drive and they're going to make as much money as if it was their truck and they were at a common carrier.
Let's see.
Christopher May, how are you? Oh, what's the UK? UK is in the room. Or whatever.
Oh, Gary says you need old number 7.
We already had that.
$15 more.
Oh, number 7 is?
Jack?
I don't know.
Isn't that Jack?
Yes, Jack. No, it's Jim
That's
Beam.
Jim. That's our name. Jack is like
Jim and
$15
his brother
more
Jack
expensive.
and Johnny. They're all,
Only the lonely says keep the cash flowing.
That's right. But anyway, what? Come on, baby. Jump up in there.
That's it. I
Oh.
kind of skipped over a few. People are
Okay.
talking. Alex Taylor, good night. Be safe with your drinking. Yeah,
We're not
Gary
driving.
says yes, it's Jack. We're home.
Gary Everly. Hey, Gary. It's Jim Bean. Salty, how are you doing? Salty, give us a rundown. What kind of money do you need to make this work? And I'm not trying to pick on you, right?
Salty says, I have 2 of me. Can I come work for you?
I wish, Salty, you're a hell of a guy. But you came into this industry. I listened to your story, and you made me think a lot about it. You came into the industry at the top of the money chain, right? The top of the food chain, when everything was going good. And
when rates were good, right?
Yes, rates were good. So really, what can you make
Yeah,
your
not
house
picking on Salty, but you're
no,
looking
not at all.
at
I like Salty.
you're looking at somebody that you like. He came in when rates were horrible, so when they went up, he was like, "Yeah, look at this, right?"
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I got
Right.
money."
His experience is going to be the opposite. I came in when rates were, guys are talking, "Oh, I'm getting $3 and $4 and $5 a mile," and now you're looking at going
But that's
down.
my fear. Is if you came
which is
in,
the opposite is his experience.
If you
right?
come into the industry and you're trying to pay for a 3,000 square foot house and a big pool, and
we're gonna assume Salty don't. How long's Salty been driving?
Oh, well, he's an old hand, but he's a new operator when it comes to the owner operator.
Okay, so as far as rates, if you're a company driver, you probably don't care about rates because your rates are the same no matter what. If you're a new owner operator and you were doing the $3 a mile, this is still new to you as far as look, now we're at $1.
I think most of these guys are about $2.58, right, or something like that. But I base my business on $1. I base everything on $1. That's just how I work it. It's $1 a mile, and anything over that is gravy, right? See, 4 years. Salty's been driving for a long time. He knows what he's doing, but the industry in 4 years has done nothing but gone up, money-wise. So if you've got a 3,000 square foot house, you got a new Mercedes Benz and a pool out back, and you
he's living it up. We don't have a Mercedes here. We got a lake.
No,
does that count?
I'm making these things up, right? People, if you figure what the truck has to make to support the truck, but you also figure out
house bills.
What the house bills, right. What you have to personally bring in aside from the truck, and the maintenance account that unfortunately so many people do not include. And then say
Pickle's been driving 22 years.
Pickle's no dude. I'm going to talk to you later, Pickle, about a gaming system, okay? I'll call you.
Night, Pickle.
But anyway, if you take those things, you have to add them together. One is business money and one is household money. But unfortunately,
that's why you work.
So many people do not combine them. And if they do, they combine them into the way that daddy has to make this money. Mama doesn't always work, right? Well, we don't want mama working. So she's sitting at home and she's spending money, right? That's what mamas do.
Lonely says, know how to get by on the minimum. How much should I plan on spending if I want to buy a tractor with sleeper that's in great shape? Depends if you want to buy new or used and how you want to buy it.
Okay.
We tell people if you go to Crete, you can buy one for trade-in value.
That's what I was going to say.
Not lot value. Trade-in value.
I don't. Oh, and you can still lose doing that. You can lose.
It depends on what you want to do.
If
Are you looking at a brand new one?
If you get a truck there and it's no good, you get totally screwed. I mean, you could.
Right. That's a question that unless you have 15 answers of more specifics, are you looking at a lot model?
I could give you
brand new?
I could give you great answers, but I can't necessarily give you great answers here. Okay, if you want to email me at TOWBAR1965 at Yahoo, I will happily answer you in a better way, right? Because you can do this at any company. If you go to any of these companies that I don't want you to go to, but if you go to any of those companies that train, you can still bring home $3,000 a week, okay?
And even though he says he don't want you to go to any of these companies,
I don't.
He had a fleet
at those
companies.
A fleet
at a mega carrier.
Yeah.
So you can do that and make money and be perfectly fine. When times are good, that's not necessarily where you want to stay, but when times are bad, that's what saves your butt.
I did not lease fleets from these mega carriers, though.
No, but you had a fleet. Paid for.
Yes, I took my trucks to those mega carriers, and I would still lease the initial truck at that mega carrier.
One truck.
Just
to add.
Just to get into their system. So they're like, oh, you got skin in the game, right? And I've always done great at them, but you can't stay there. You stay there as long as you have. Loyalty is a problem in America. Because we're we feel like if we leave this carrier, that we're being unloyal once they helped us make it through a spot. That carrier's not loyal to you.
Yeah, if you fall off the face of the earth tomorrow, that's somebody else is hauling your load, and all they're concerned
Somebody
about
else is dragging your ashes back home because you're dead. So you do what you got to do with that carrier. You kiss them goodbye. Keep a good business working relationship with them just in case. And then
don't burn your bridges.
Right, and move on. Just move on.
Every place we've ever left has at some point within the first month or two called us and begged us back.
If I cannot do excuse me, a minimum of 258, we don't haul it. But that 268 actually. That's where my money starts in my contracts. 268. It's just that simple, right? It might be $10 a mile, but it starts at 268. But you can survive at $1.50 happily. If we had to go back tomorrow, not in the big truck. Right?
If we had to go back to Crete, we would be just fine.
Yes, we'd be fine. And I'd make money, and I'd be happy, and everything would be good.
Mm-hmm. The only reason we couldn't go in the big trucks because it weighs too much.
Right.
But there's other companies still that
I would go with Admiral Merchants or Reliable. I mean, there's plenty of places I could take the big truck, and we'd do great. It's a different venue for our specific truck. But I pre-planned for this
government
specific truck.
freight, explosives, anything that they want you to haul nonstop.
Tomorrow, if things went to crap and I couldn't run my truck over here, I'd go to Admiral Merchants. And in the process of going to Admiral Merchants, I would reinstate all of my numbers. And we would be hauling out of, what is this over here? The Air Force Base.
The Air Force Base.
Scott Air Force Base.
That's it.
Scott Air Force Base, right? I would go back on. I'd hook everything back up like I did in the past, and it might take a year to get everything worked out. But I would be hauling for Scott Air Force Base, which is actually the military control for the whole military, right? For household and everything else. So I know I'm fine. I'm
Salty
not worried.
Pirate says he's driving, but he's still going to be listening, so he won't be able to type back to you.
I'm just worried about the younger guys that's got into this industry and they're wanting to make.
Okay, Bald Ace says, my only fear at this point.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Is going and getting a truck and failing in 2019. I've got 30K, but I'm always looking ahead at the worst outcome.
Okay, here is the best thing for you, brother. Don't buy a truck.
Yet.
Not right now.
Yet.
Not right now. We are 1/4 into the beginning of a recession. The government will not declare this a recession until we're 3/4 in. Okay? Me and you, as drivers, we know it's a recession. Okay? It will take, historically, 18 months to recover from this recession. Don't buy it unless you've got something worked out.
And also, by the time the recession is hopefully nearing an end, you're also going to have people just saying, here, take over my payments and you can have it.
You can take that $30,000 and roll it into 3 trucks.
Yeah, you can take that $30,000 and buy a whole complete truck.
When I stepped out of the military, I took that money and I rolled it directly into 3 trucks. Because it was money I was going to spend. And all of a sudden, all these guys, I didn't know them. You know where I met them? There was a cork board at my local truck stop, and it had all these for sale things on them. And I was like, what the hell is that? Trucks everywhere.
Old. Now it's called the internet.
They were cork boards back then, right? And so I bought all their trucks. I didn't see a reason not to, you know.
So saving money and buying later or taking over payments or whatever may end up being more beneficial than buying your truck right now.
And don't let everybody freak you out. Oh, that truck's got 800,000 miles. It's a piece of crap. No, every truck I've ever owned has got 1.5 million miles on it. But I do worry about the new DSS systems on all these trucks. But you know what? Other than electronics, you can pull an oil sample from those trucks, have that oil sample run. It will tell you how much brass is in the oil, how much aluminum is in the oil. And the oil sample,
antifreeze or anything else in
antifreeze,
anything.
diesel fuel,
water.
You'll know if that truck is worth buying.
Yep.
I have never.
Don't be afraid to spend $100 if you're going out and spending $50,000 or $30,000 on a truck. $100 is well worth it.
Spend $100. She is right. Spend $100. Buy the truck. So I didn't say.
Because if you can't afford the 100, you can't afford the
that truck
30,000.
can be 2,000 miles away. I don't ever go and look at a truck.
No, he doesn't. He just buys everything sight unseen.
I buy it
if I
from
want it,
2,000 miles away, and I have a mechanic go and pull an oil sample, and then I buy it. Yep. I don't care about it. And there's some other guy that's sitting there in that same state going, I don't know, maybe I want to buy it. Well, he just lost a truck because I bought it.
Little Viking coach says moving companies makes money in a recession.
It does. Yeah. You have to follow the money. But follow the mega carriers, Jesus Christ. Please follow the mega carriers. You will do fine. And you'll still have that working relationship with that mega carrier that...
If you are a good driver, you get a good relationship with your dispatcher. We've worked at Henderson Trucking before.
We did great.
The dad passed away. Kids got it. They sold out to Prime. There's people on Prime that know this, that were, with the companies at the time, right?
Carlos, we would hire Elvis. We're cool with Elvis.
When we left, it was a month later. They were still calling us, asking us for information about a dedicated run that we did, wanting us to come back. And actually, a month after that, the people that were substituting wrecked, and they called him and was asking him where they could park a trailer and meet these other people because they done had a wreck. If you're that valuable that they're calling you, asking you questions about your run 2 months later, that is actually who you need to be. Because there's no doubt that dispatchers we've had in the past, they loved us. Your dispatcher, as long as it's decent, should love you because they don't need us.
Now the trucker's coach is in the room. You can ask the trucker's coach. He agrees that in a downturn, the mega carriers is the way to go for safety, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the trucker's coach was at Crete too, and he's not getting anything off Crete, right? I mean,
don't work there no
they're
more,
not paying him anything to say this. They're not paying us anything to say this. But if you run the 700-mile board at Crete, you're still going to do $1.50 a mile, $1.48, whatever it is, right? But you're going to make the money to survive. And no one's going to tell you what to do. I like Crete. If they ever go on the NASDAQ, if you don't follow stocks, if you don't buy stocks, that's where you buy trucking stocks, okay? If they ever go on the NASDAQ, it might be a different story. But Crete is a good company if you want to survive in a downturn. What's Karen saying? Hey, Karen.
And Crete does your 3 loads. You pick a load, and if you don't want any of those, you tell them you don't want them, and they will give you different loads.
We only want to help you survive. This downturn is coming. It's in your face. It's going to get more in your face. We want you to survive. When we come out of it, we want you to be just as happy and strong as you are 6 months ago. Now, you may be totally kaput. But I don't want you to be.
Well, hopefully not.
But what I'm saying is, we don't have anything in the game to try to tell you what to do to benefit us. It's not to benefit us. It's we worry about you and mama and your kids. That's all. Anything else?
You said the coach said you'll never go wrong with a mega carrier in a down market. I think there's some side conversations going on.
In the years previous, people have berated me for being at those same mega carriers, but that's why I was there. Now, you can get in a little funk if in a recession you run to the mega carriers, and I've done this, all right, 100% done it. I've been in a mega carrier. I like to wait 6 months to a year before I leave that mega carrier, just to make sure that the economy's flowing right.
Yeah, it doesn't go up for a month.
But then I get to feeling, I'm like, I feel they did me good. So I hate to leave. I'm like, they treated me right. Everything went good. I made money. So I feel like I'm abandoning them if I leave, and that's a fault with me. Okay, that's that military thing in me. I feel like I'm abandoning them. So I would always either stick around too long, or I would keep specific trucks there out of loyalty, and that's not good. Business is business. Stick around until you know it's good, and then get the hell out. But I can say that, and me saying it and doing it are two totally different things. I'm not good at doing what I say I should do when it comes to that. I feel like I'm abandoning somebody. I'm not going to abandon you or you. I'm not going to abandon anyone.
But that mega carrier will have another driver to haul that freight if you're not there.
They will.
So.
Well, that's where I'm glad I got you to tell me, smack, 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 right? Wake the fuck up. Oh, I'm sorry. Wake up, right? Go follow the money. Yeah. And if the money crashes again, you can move back over there again.
But that's why you just keep it a good, happy, positive relationship. Because if you need to go back, you can. Like for us, we kind of know our dispatchers because generally one dispatcher has teams. And I shouldn't say most, a lot of places we've been don't have that many teams, right? So they end up knowing you on a first name basis. It's not a number as much with the teams. Even at Crete, they're a big company, but the team board, they know you by name.
The difference, Snorlord, in my opinion, and it's not an opinion, truthfully, I can say that all day long. It's just real. If you can survive at $1.50 a mile at a mega carrier, you can survive anywhere. But if you're running the spot market in a downturn, you might have to wait 2 or 3 days to get that $1.50. Yeah, and I have really sweated over this for so many years because I've spent my times in them truck stops waiting for that $1.50 a mile freight, and then I got it right, and then I run it, and then I spend 2 more days sitting trying to get more $1.50 a mile freight. When if I had broken my pride and hauled for that mega carrier, and I'm just talking about the truck, not with trailer. If you got your own trailer, your percentage is a little bit more, right? Now, you do get the drop and hook also. But if you run over there and haul, you don't got to wait 2 days for that $1.50 a mile. You can get that $1.50 a mile today and go.
Now, he's saying what's the difference if you average the same on the spot market? If you're hauling for the spot market, is he not paying for his own trailer and his own insurance and stuff at a higher rate than the mega carrier?
But see, that's different business models. I don't know if you're leasing a trailer or...
But his question... If you survive at $1.50 a mile at a mega carrier, what's the difference in averaging the same on the spot market? The difference is your out-of-pocket cost. Is that correct?
It's more than your out-of-pocket cost.
Okay, but money-wise, it's your out-of-pocket cost.
You have more out-of-pocket cost.
Right.
On the upfront side. On the other side, you may sit for 2 days before you get a load.
Trucker's Coach says you drop the trailer cost, you drop the trailer insurance, and drop messing with brokers. Yes.
See, Coach, you're so much better at saying what is in my head. I just can't say it. Thank you.
But their insurance rates and everything for the mega carriers are going to generally be less too, aren't they, or not?
Generally.
I said generally. There's always exceptions to everything.
But like us, we've been trucking forever, okay? So our insurance rates are going to be the same. But for other people, they're not.
We are still at home, Midnight Rider.
Hey, Midnight Rider, how you doing?
Waiting on everything. Hurry up and wait. And see, when you prepare for the recession, it also gives you a month and a half to sit at home and not be too worried about it.
We've been at home for a month. We're cool. We got enough for 2 or 3 more weeks. We're good, right? It ain't hurting us. But I'm just worried about you guys.
We're just ready to go back to work.
I want to go to work.
Everybody asks us questions about the new truck, and we don't know because other than going up there and hanging out and starting it or something, looking silly for hanging out.
I know the batteries are dead, guys, because I ain't went up there in 3 days, and the Qualcomm done killed my batteries.
We can program the generator to start, but apparently that's my job, and I ain't read all the instruction manuals.
Yeah, she's falling down on her job, guys. I'm going to smack her around, but I'm scared too. She's meaner than I am.
Little dog is licking his jaw. Well, I don't know what he's doing at the moment. Walter is doing something. They vandalized. What is he doing? I don't know. It sounds like he's eating, but I'm not for sure.
There's nothing in here to eat.
It's hard telling.
I think he's kissing Grace.
Snorlord says, my cost of light trekking with the trailer isn't much different than... I'm guessing was going to say with a mega carrier.
Okay.
And that's fine if it's not. As long as you can keep your freight, right?
Now, Snorlord, I don't see a problem for you, okay? If Jeffrey has to, if in time things go that far south, that Jeffrey has to go over. I don't know how many of you guys he has under his thumb, but if he has to run over and lease on as in mass, right? All of you guys leasing on as a fleet, that wouldn't hurt you. I'm sure you would get good stuff, right? You would come through it. Everything will be fine. I think everything will be fine. That you have an umbrella with like. That's
okay. He says it isn't much different than the fixed cost at Snyder.
Right.
Okay.
But see, it'll work, Snorlord. I think you'll be fine. Matter of fact, if Jeffrey wants to take this opportunity, he can gather guys under his umbrella and use this to everybody's advantage. Because if you take 8 trucks or 10 trucks with you to a carrier, you get better bargaining.
Better rates.
Much better. Yeah, you do. I mean, even if it's 2 or 3%, that's huge. And look, I'll use Prime, okay? Now, this is my worry, okay? When we was at Henderson, before we got on our dedicated thing, we was on another with the day she stepped on the truck with me, we was on a dedicated run that I had already garnered from Gentech, right? We were hauling Viagra and such, right? From California.
Heart medicine.
Back to this area. Back to Kentucky, Tennessee, right here, right? And I would get my butt back out there and bring those same drug loads back and forth every week. I made awesome money at the percentage. Now, here's the scary part. And this is what everyone has to think about. This makes me so mad. All right? Prime would load the same load in the dock beside me. All right? Prime would then run that load that paid me awesome money, right? I mean, we're talking $240, $250 a mile, right? Through their logistics company. And yes, this is legal if you don't know. They would run it through their logistics company, and then that driver, that owner, that lease operator would then get $140 a mile or $130 a mile or whatever it was, right? Because my best friend was running it and he felt it happening to him.
Okay, let me break it down.
Break it down.
Break it down.
Break it down.
So, any mega carrier will say little dog truck. Well, this little dog trucking, right?
Don't use that one.
Well, that's not the YouTuber, our little Chihuahua dog. Chihuahua Trucking Incorporated, right? Chihuahua Trucking Incorporated is its own business.
I got freight.
Right. Chihuahua Trucking has freight. Chihuahua Trucking has a sister company called Chihuahua Logistics. Chihuahua Trucking sells their contracts.
They broker their freight
to Chihuahua Logistics, who takes their percentage and rebrokers it back to Chihuahua Trucking after they've kept their $1.50, $2.
Kept 80 cents a mile.
And says, oh, this is your rate. And then as an owner-operator, instead of getting your $3 a mile, you're now getting your $1.20, $1.50 a mile because you have, I mean, every trucking company, I think most of them don't hide it. They have multiple companies within the company.
Right. And I mean, like I said, I had a bunch of trucks over at CRST back in the day, right? And when they started doing that, I mean, I pulled them out of there. Hey, Pet Monster, how are you doing? I'm not reading comments. But that's what they do. And that's what I worry.
But it's self-brokered. So, they take their dollar and then they say, oh, this is what we got it for.
So let's take Like Trucking, right? Like Trucking takes his eight trucks or whatever you guys have got over there, right? And he runs over there and he signs on. He says, this is the deal we're doing. And we're going to get 86%. That's cool. That's cool. But 86% of what? Because it all comes down to the fine numbers. If they're running it through that logistics company, it all is a worry. Doing power only moves for Mega while not having to switch carriers. And that's 100% okay. If you're doing the power only thing, I like that. I do. But You
Bald
missed the high
Ace.
dollar freight.
Bald Ace says, so that 72% isn't really 72% for the driver. That is correct, because we'll say the carrier's getting $5 a mile. They just send it over to logistics, which is a different company. Logistics takes their $2 off, sends it back to the company for $3 a mile, and the company says, then the company, instead of paying you $5 a mile for their gross of what they claim they get it for, oh, now we're down to $3 a mile. So now you're getting your 72% of the
Bald
$3.
Ace, this is a whole different different thing, okay? If you're not getting a rate confirmation, and when I say a rate confirmation, your company may send you a rate confirmation and says, this is what you're getting paid, right? If you're not getting a rate confirmation from where that freight originated at, you have no idea what that freight pays.
In other words, a mega carrier has its own brokerage account, and they sell it to their brokerage, then they rebuy it from their brokerage, and all they're doing is making their rate con sheet lower, and they're just keeping more of it.
That's all they're doing.
Basically.
Yes,
they're rebrokering their own freight, basically. Is that?
Yes, that's right. Look, I called Alcoa, right? I'm a broker today. I'm not a broker, okay, but I know how this works, all right? I called Alcoa. Actually, back in the day, I had relationships.
Big Rig Radio says all medium to large carriers have a logistics company.
Yes, they do.
Your contract is with the carrier.
Yes.
So the logistics take whatever they want. Then they sell it to the carrier. Then you get your percentage.
Big Rig Logistics is 100% right in the way he worded that. Good job, Big Rig.
He's just got a man, right?
That's Jeffrey like. Come on now. He knows what he's talking about. And that's how it works. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, like I was saying, I would take my guys over at Alcoa to the titty bar, right? They give me freight.
It says you'll end up with 40 to 50% of the real rate.
Of the real rate. I would take them guys to the titty bar. I'd buy them drinks. I would even know their dirt. I would never say that I used their dirt against them because I wouldn't do that. But people today might. And people back then might. But I knew their dirt. I knew about the girl that they hooked up with and everything else. So they gave me their freight. It's just that simple, right? Now, I didn't have a logistics company. But I had a friend down the road. And I did not do this, right? And he wanted me to do this. He wanted me to give him my freight and cut 40 or 50 cents off of it. And then he would split that 40 or 50 cents with me. And then he would pass it on to his drivers. And that's what logistics is all about. If a company has a logistics company, you're losing right off the top. Yep. If they say that, you know, we're giving you this,
doesn't have a logistics company. They don't factor anything. They don't get rid of any load they ever get.
We're giving you this freight for this. You take it, that's fine. But if they say it's coming from a logistics company, know that you're taking it up the tail end right off you're taking it up the tail. You never knew that you were taking it up the tail, did you? But it happens.
And your trucking company, you might work for one company, but there's 4 or 5 different companies within the company that are separate companies that are all the same company.
But that's what I got with Henderson. I loved Henderson. I loved that company when we worked there. But the first time they gave me a load and said, this is from our logistics company, I told them, well, it's time for me to go then.
Trucking America asks if I include Vaseline. No, that's extra charge.
I do not. I don't work with logistics companies because I know what it is. I ain't gonna do it.
Driven Trucking says, so how can this be fixed?
It cannot be fixed, Driven. I'm sorry to say that. There are so many variables in trucking, right? Everyone has a total
Everybody has their hand in our pockets, period.
Yeah, but they have a right to. They have a right to. So
you have to pick what's acceptable for you and what's not acceptable for you, in a sense, right?
Yes. Yeah. What's acceptable?
The better driving record you have, the more years experience, whether or not you have your own truck, if you can take it wherever, you have more options available to you to make decisions for what you want, right?
Okay, look, here's something I did not want to go into, but I feel like it does tie in.
Driven asked maybe Uber.
It's the same.
We've never done Uber.
It's gonna be the same
know.
way with Uber in the long run. Uber has a logistics company. I have looked into that. They do. So there you go. All right. Everybody wants to know what can be done. We got Black Smoke Matters out there. Guys, I'm sorry. That ain't gonna fly. It's just
Don't shut the interstates down. We don't.
No, it's just another thing. This has been going on since the 60s. I mean, since deregulation. There's so many hands in the pie, you're never going to figure it out.
Big Rig Radio Network says, he's talking to Driven Trucking, I have a plan to fix this with my contractor, soon to be implemented in the future.
I believe that there are fixes in a minute area that you can. It's not a complete fix. It's a fix for you. It's a fix for your fleet. It's a fix for now. But things change, right? The industry always changes. So you always have to be ready to change with the industry. But continuity is something that's not going to ever happen in this industry because there's too many people, too many hands. And do we want it differently? Do we want the government regulating us to such a point to where
they regulate us too much anyway? Little Viking Coach says find a direct customer. That's
direct customers.
But in a recession, you may have to go with a mega carrier if you can't find the direct customer. But the direct customer is...
If you have your own authority, if you have your own numbers, and you're leased on with someone running their stuff too, where you can run your stuff and their stuff, then direct customers are good, okay? Mm-hmm. I've ran many direct customers out of my area, okay? I know them. I've had business relationships. I know their kids, everything, right? You can get those kind of things. But you do have to realize that when they file bankruptcy because they went out of business, you're not getting paid. You can't go over to their house and beat them up. You can't collect your money.
If your payments are, what, a month behind, 2 months behind?
So they can be 3 months behind. I mean, it's legal. You can go 3 months behind. You don't want them to, but you can't bitch about it. So that's one thing that is
Troll
there.
Media, quit driving after 12 years. Little Viking Coach says, trucking exec talked about this yesterday. Set yourself apart with superior service.
Yes.
That's true.
True. You still might go to the poorhouse, but
right, and
you
it
should
also
always give superior service.
Like, generally, if we end up going somewhere, we end up with people's cell phone numbers, or they end up with ours and call us back and forth to let us know when stuff's ready. But ultimately, those people that we deal with at that shipper or receiver are just people that are convenient for us to get together. It's not the people who ultimately make the decision of who gets the contract, right?
For 2 years after leaving Henderson, they still called us. I'd be in the bathtub. I'm washing, right? Oh, yeah. And the company, NAL, right? Chevy is calling me when I'm washing my balls because they're like, hey, you gonna... No, guys, we ain't doing your run no more.
Actually, when we were doing the run, if they thought we should be there and we weren't there yet, they would call us and it's, hey, are you guys okay? Okay, and we got it behind a traffic jam.
Service, and we built that whole contract for that company, and now Prime has it, and they destroyed it. So I'm sorry, Prime, but you did. You destroyed it. Mm-hmm. We really did good on that, and we had multiple trucks on.
You have to use MapBook on that because the GPS will try and take you over a ferry. A ferry. Yeah, I can imagine how many drivers followed their GPS and ended up at a ferry looking at it saying, well, what do we do now?
We left them hanging with that. I mean, we wasn't going to tell them the secrets to the run.
Learn to skin a buck and run a trap line, and you'll be doing fine during the recession times.
That's right. If you live that way before you need to live that way.
Trucking America says his dad has a Facebook group, United Coalition of American Drivers, UCAD for short.
Ooh.
They talk about to other drivers and help one another.
We couldn't get the truck over the ferry in our area.
If you're under, was it 40 or 50,000 pounds, you could ride the ferry. If you were over that, you couldn't. So some days we might be able to ride the ferry, but some days we couldn't.
Couldn't ride the ferry.
And in the winter when it's frozen, no ferry for us.
So I made them pay me to go around eventually. It came out real good for me because I made a mint doing that run.
And we got paid for every stop.
We did. We made killer bucks for 8 years. It was awesome.
Bye, Trucking America.
Anyway, we should probably go, guys. I do not ever want to appear to you that I'm some kind of trucking god, okay? And I'm not. I'm just a guy that's been doing this for 20 odd years. I have seen the rise and fall in these numbers. It's not me telling you anything. It's numbers. It's statistics.
He's saying he doesn't want to appear arrogant. He's been doing it 25 years and been through several ups and downs. So this is how you survive the ups and downs, right?
It is. You can definitely survive it if you prepare for it.
Thank you, Brickman Bear.
I get plenty of negative comments, right? And those people that are giving me negative comments, they've been driving for 2 years and they don't know nothing. I'm not saying that you don't know nothing, right? Because if you're willing to learn, you'll be fine. But you gotta adapt. You gotta move with the situation. It's always fluid.
Yeah, you can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna run this," and that's it, because that might go down. You have to be like, "Oh,
you gotta have
jump over here."
There must be a backup plan for every plan. I mean, I cannot ever stress that enough. Have a backup plan. Have a 5-year plan. Have a 10-year plan. Have another backup plan.
Let me go ahead. We never plan on leaving the company we're at now, right?
Nope.
With that being said, we also know the name of 6 other companies and what they haul and how they do it. Because if this company sells out, if one of the owners dies, if something happens and the structure of this company changes, we may need to leave.
Hey, Donald, how you doing? Right.
So
exactly right.
Everyone should already have a plan B and maybe C and D and E that are on the side.
She's 100% right. I have 5 or 6 other companies that I could work with and still make the same money today that I'm making yesterday and be happy.
Right.
And if I have to, I can go back into my own authority thing, right? I'm not worried about that. I don't want to, but I could. And so I don't worry about anything. Ever.
Sammy, we're not planning on going to Matt's. We've been off for over a month. So if we can get back out on the road soon, we plan on running a little bit.
Right. Our plates should be here any day. I mean, I'm waiting on the mail. The mail carrier might wreck and burn up. I don't know.
It's a little bit slick out there still.
Right.
Perks of living in the woods. The sun don't get through the trees real well.
That's right, JD. It's every industry. It's not just trucking. It's I don't care what industry you're in. If you're mowing yards or whatever you're doing.
If you're mowing yards, you should look at, what am I going to do in the winter? And then you should buy a snowplow for the front of your mower and a little salt spreader, right?
But there's a correlation between everything. Because if people are not getting paid, I don't care what industry they're in. If they're not getting paid, they're not going to pay you. So it does go across all industries. But anyway, fellas, we got to go. I really got to pee. You know how it is, right? And my drink is running
Sorry
low.
we didn't get to everybody's comments. We was trying to
I'm
chit-chat because I'm very squirrely. We'll get sidetracked. So
I know. Yes, you're right, good baby. We didn't get to the comments, and I'm sorry because we had a lot to say. If you got something to say,
we're in the Midwest.
Just comment again in the downside, and we'll get back with you, right?
On the recorded side.
Because we can't comment on this side when we got to go. But we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out and love. And we'll talk. Oh, guys, I got to tell y'all. Oh, this was so sad. I know this is late. Frances from Alabama, Ronald's wife,
Frances Reddish.
She passed away.
What it used to be, and now it's Ronald from Alabama.
And I'll probably say that later again too. It was very sad. I really like them.
I know they commented
nice
on
people.
a lot of trucking channels.
They love dogs and they're friends of ours, and they're truckers. So if y'all can pray for Ronald, just put some prayers up to Jesus, because I feel bad for them. They were good people. But we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.